Hello. What was your foreign policy? Why did you when I said do you care about Ukraine, like I guess how do you feel about Ukraine and the Ukraine war and how Trump has handled it so far?
I think he's handled it awfully. I will agree with that.
Do you do
I
you
was
did you expect him to handle it that way based on what he said on the campaign trail?
uh in a way, yes. I think Trump's problem was he expected he'd come back into office and everything would be like 2020. Like he had never lost the last election, you know. I think that's probably his main problem when he looks into it.
I mean,
Because I mean, if you're the Russians, like I don't see how Ukraine can hold any territory on the far side of the Dnieper.
um
I,
I mean, I feel like they could if they actually got the support that they needed. 'Cause like
I
Russia is like Ukraine is making Russia bleed for every square inch that they take. And like
yeah, but as long
it is
as
slow.
yeah, and okay, they're doing attritional warfare, but as long as the Russians are causing more casualties or like if the Russians have a 4-to-1 advantage in manpower, I don't know what the exact numbers are, but let's just say they have a 4-to-1 advantage in manpower. As long as they are taking less than 4-to-1 casualties, they're ending up on top.
I
And
mean,
yeah,
I think there's more to it than that though too, right? Because like I think that there's a whole bunch of other things that Putin can't just endlessly keep the war going if it starts impacting like the economy too hard and things like that. And if the oil and gas stuff comes down on them, then that's going to cause more problems too. Like I do think that it was the right move to go after India and China and incentivize them to stop buying oil from Russia because right now they are funding that war largely by agreeing to buy Russia's oil, albeit at an exceedingly discounted rate.
well,
Um,
and if you're going to say that, the Europeans have spent more money on Russian
yeah,
oil
yeah,
and
I
gas.
know, but they have to stop doing that too. Although I don't know
Like
the
that's
extent to which that they're still doing that. I don't think that they are doing it to the same degree
I
as they
mean, I
were.
will like if you take I'm sorry if I'm interrupting you.
No, it's all
Uh
good.
if you're taking the like what came out of the last when what was it? About a month and a half ago when Trump went over for the NATO meeting, maybe 2 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
And they said that they were going to stop. I mean, that's great, but I also remember Trump going over to a NATO meeting like right when he first became president, and they were laughing at him for saying, you shouldn't be buying your gas from Russia.
Wait, are you talking about in his first term?
Yeah, like back in his first
Yeah,
term.
but that
But
that was a completely that was like a different time though, right? Like things were
oh
quite a
yeah,
bit
I mean
different
totally.
then. Also, by the way, sorry, actually to like just drag us back on topic because I actually just wanted to talk about Trump. I don't want to like make this all about Ukraine. That's just like one example. Um like I first of all, I imagine you're probably not going to agree with me here, but I'm just going to say it anyway. I don't think Trump's biggest problem is that he expects things to be like it was in 2020. I think Trump's biggest problem is that he's an idiot. And I don't think that he actually
Well, yeah,
understands
that's
anything about foreign policy.
that's that's part. Well,
Like I
I
think in everything he
Trump
knows is what people have told him.
Trump, I would say, because of who he is, he doesn't he doesn't realize he's Trump is smart enough to know what he doesn't know, but at the same time he doesn't have an understanding. I think that's part of, like I would say like Obama had the problem of Obama thought he was the smartest man in the room when he really wasn't.
I mean, I don't know
Like
if I would say that Trump is smart enough to know what he doesn't know, because that he is constantly lying and pretending that he knows about things that he doesn't know anything about.
well, he has the problem of because of who he is.
Yeah. Oh, you mean because
He's been
he's a
he's been surrounded.
narcissist? He's a
Well, he's been surrounded
narcissist.
by yes men. Like he's been surrounded by yes men. That's part of his problem, right?
Yeah,
Like he
but
gets
that's by design too, right? Like in his first term, he wasn't surrounded by yes men and it pissed him off. And that's part of the reason why he's acting so differently now and why all of his appointments are not based on qualification, but they're based on who's going to be loyal to me and do what I tell them. Because in his first term, when he did that election bullshit, he couldn't get them to do what he wanted. He couldn't get them to overturn the election. And so now he's picking very differently. And the people that he's choosing are not people who are qualified, they're people who are loyal, and that's all he cares about. Yeah, like I think he wants to be surrounded by yes men because he's a narcissist and he wants to be told that he's amazing and awesome. That's why like the best way to
yeah
get him to do what you want is to like kiss his ass on the world stage,
yeah
which is
that's
insane.
the like he another one of his major problems is that he seems to always go along with whatever the last person told
Yes.
him.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's what I like. I don't think he actually has any understanding. And I mean, this is pretty obvious knowing some of the ridiculous stuff that he has said. Like when he was talking about Israel Palestine, saying this conflict's been going on for 3,000 years, like what? That was very funny but very stupid.
I mean, in a way, it has,
No, it hasn't. Not between
but
Israelis and
but not, but yeah,
Palestinians.
not between the Israelis and Palestinians. Like
Like
this
it's
stuff, the Holy Land has been fought over for
Yeah, it's
I
been fought over for a
ever
long
since it was
time,
called
but for
ever since
different
it was called the Holy Land.
reasons. Yeah,
But like,
but for different reasons, right? So,
but
certainly
like,
not 3,000 years
like
ago, but hmm
as far as foreign policy goes, like Biden, the problem I have with like our policy in Ukraine is that we spent the entire Cold War trying to prevent an alliance between Russia and China. And it seemed like Biden just, maybe not Biden, but the Democratic Party just, because of stupid bullshit reasons, just like they hate, like, like I will take the Democratic Party's histrionics on Russia more seriously when Obama goes to Mitt Romney on national television and apologized to him for being right. You
I
know that whole
do you think
that whole
yeah,
the
yeah, I know, but do you think that Obama represents the entirety of the Democratic Party? Like he made
I
that
I think
statement.
Obama who's the leader of the Democratic Party right now?
I mean, Obama is a popular figure in the Democratic Party, but I don't know why he would need to like go to Mitt Romney and apologize. I'm sure that like I haven't kept up with what Obama has said, but I imagine that he
Well,
probably understood that he was incorrect about that. But
I
at the
well he
time,
doesn't
wait, why does that matter? Like that was a
because,
he said that in 2012. It was a
yeah,
quite a
because it's it seems the only reason why the Democratic Party has their stance on Ukraine or on Russia in general is they hate Donald Trump.
I think that that is an incredibly insane leap. If you think that the Democratic Party would not come out in support of Ukraine when Russia invaded them, if not for Donald Trump, I think like I feel like you don't have any evidence for that
Well,
whatsoever. Also, by the
well,
way,
Biden.
just as an FYI, like, do you not think that it was a big deal that Russia tried to interfere in like American elections with all that weird like with the Internet Research Agency, or do you think that was all bullshit?
So an ad that's seen by like 100,000 people that
No,
somehow and you know, and if we're going to be honest,
Hold on,
Russia
there
has been
was more
trying to.
to it than that. Do you think that the DNC
If we're,
email leaks were not a big deal, that they didn't impact anything? Because that was Russia that did that. Guccifer 2.0, he was a Russian hacker.
Um, why does that? The next question is, it doesn't. I don't think an ad. Okay, to answer your question. I don't think an ad that's seen by 100,000 people that we don't even know if they voted or not
But that's
really
not
changes
that's not
anything.
all there was to it, though. Like, you're
I
downplaying
but
the extent to which Russia was interfering in the election. Like,
I I think you're underestimating the ability of the American people to
um
just disregard shit.
I'm very sorry. I'm very, very sorry, but unfortunately, I don't have much faith in the American people. I don't have much faith in the Canadian
I don't
people
I
or the
don't have
British
I don't
people.
have much faith in
Okay, I mean, I
we agree on that point, but
like
I think
listen, dude.
it's
What is it like? A large portion of the Republican Party still thinks that that the 2020 election was stolen. Like, and like some portion of them believe in QAnon. The extent to which that people are subject to conspiracy theories
yeah,
and basically willing to live in
yeah,
like
and
alternate reality. Yeah.
okay, that's fair,
I'm
but
just saying yeah.
you've got a large percentage of the Democratic Party that thinks that Donald Trump was a Russian agent. When it's been proven that the Steele dossier was 100% fake.
Okay, hold on. Hold on. Can you show me polling that says that a large percentage of the Democratic Party thinks that Donald Trump is a Russian agent? Although, by the way, I would argue that there was at least some level of, if not like coordination between people who were on Donald Trump's campaign and like Russia, because Roger Stone, there
Yeah,
was.
the you mean the Mueller report that said that there was no collusion between them whatsoever?
No, that's not what it said. It did not say there was no collusion between them whatsoever. Like, did you? The Mueller report
And
had a
and
whole bunch of stuff in it about the extent to which that, like I said, the Guccifer 2.0 thing, that DNC email leak, like the timing of all of that, there was a reason that it was timed that way. Like when that dropped.
well, the next question is do you think who do you think Putin or who do you think the Russians preferred to win the election?
I think they wanted Trump to win, but I think what they really
I
wanted.
don't. Hillary Clinton sold 25% of our uranium stockpile to the Russians.
Oh my God, are you serious? Do you actually believe that Uranium One
Yes,
thing? Really?
yes,
Oh God,
yes.
that's not true.
It's
Really?
100% true.
What
That is
the?
100% true.
Why do you? I.
And this is another reason why I don't take the Democrats. Oh, but okay, we need to get back to okay. So the foreign policy reasons of why I voted for Trump
Okay.
is
Well, I mean, I don't. This is like the Uranium One thing is a conspiracy theory, dude. Like it's
it
not.
is not.
It's not. What? I don't
It's
even know that
well,
much
it's like
about this,
okay,
but I know that it's not.
who are you? Who are you going? Would you rather have somebody win the election that you know you can deal with, or would you rather have the wild card?
Um, I
Hillary Clinton was somebody the
Yeah, she
Russians
was.
could deal with.
No, she was also she was also going to be hawkish,
And
and they knew that. Also, hold on, hold on.
and if you don't,
Wait.
well, if you
Do you know who Alexander Dugin is?
yeah,
Okay, are you familiar
yeah,
with like?
I'm actually trying to like if you know where I can get his books because I'm trying to read his books.
Okay, I don't know where you can get his books, but like my understanding is like what is in them. Like, are or at least what is in one of them. Like his whole strategy, the entire idea behind what he thinks Russia should do, and the whole thing of what he wanted was like his suggestion was about like fermenting chaos within the American electorate and like trying to like bring about race wars and all of this other stuff. And if that's what Russia wanted to do, why the hell would they want Hillary Clinton to get elected when they can get Donald, oh my God, was Barack Obama really born in the United States, Trump to become president? The conspiracy theory guy, the crazy dude. Like he fits that bill so much better than Hillary Clinton, who is just your standard run-of-the-mill milquetoast center-left Democrat.
No, Hillary Clinton is a straight-up fascist.
What?
Well,
I don't think you know what fascism is, dude.
I 100% know what fascism is, and if you believe in almost every policy that Giovanni Gentile came up with, you're pretty much a fascist. Now, I will say that Donald Trump is a corporatist.
No, I
don't think Donald
mean,
Trump is a fascist.
I think MAGA is a fascist movement. I think Donald Trump is only not a fascist because I don't think Donald Trump believes in anything besides himself, because he is a narcissist, and I don't think that he has a great enough understanding of politics to care, but I do think he wants to be a king, and certainly MAGA as a movement and people like Stephen Miller are absolutely pushing all kinds of like fascist crap. Like did you hear? Come on, did you hear Stephen Miller's speech at Charlie Kirk's memorial where he was talking all about saving Western civilization? And
that one definitely piqued my. You're weird. You're weird if you give that speech. You're weird.
Yeah. I mean, Stephen Miller is like that guy just screams fascism, and like his obsession with and also like the whole like the us versus them stuff but like no, okay, I'm sorry. What exactly does Hillary
us versus them is typical politics stuff.
Not to the same extent as what we're talking about, like with MAGA, like the level of demonization or whatever, like the whole this obsession. Also, when you're talking about like
the level of demonization, when Donald Trump is what you get when you spend 30 years of calling Bob Dole, George Bush, Mitt Romney, John McCain. You spend 20 plus years calling those guys fascists and Nazis.
Donald Trump. Hold on. Wait. Can you please point me to mainstream Democratic politicians who called those guys fascists and Nazis and not just crazy leftists? Because this is the
Bush Hitler? The people going around like Bush Hitler?
No, I'm talking about mainstream Democrats. I'm not talking about Code Pink protesters.
Yeah. You realize that the last Republican president who was elected to not have the Electoral College objected to was Eisenhower?
What are you talking about? No, that's not.
The Democrats have been and like this is another problem that I see with Trump or in the Republican Party in general, is that Bush wins a contested election in 2000.
Yeah, but that was also fucked because he lost the popular vote and the Florida, and like they stopped the recount because of the Supreme Court basically ordered them to.
Well, that and
there was a whole bunch of weird shit there.
Al Gore was asking for crazy shit in the Florida recount.
I believe they just wanted to continue the Florida recount. Also, like, do you think that there wasn't like any kind of weird irregularities or like weird stuff with like the with the voting or with like the butterfly ballots were a disaster and that just made it harder, and like it's entirely possible.
That's why Florida got rid of those ballots.
Yeah, that's good that they did that, but it was still fucked.
The 2000, like if you look at the 2000 election, like that's why Florida elections are so much better today.
Also,
is because
hold on a second. You're trying to make this claim when you say that like Democrats objected to the electoral college vote since like Eisenhower. Are you talking about like one or two politicians in the House standing up and saying like, you know, we object or whatever, like what happened in 2000 with like Bush and Gore? Cuz like I don't care about that. I'm sorry, but I don't care.
it wasn't it wasn't like that until, yeah, when it first started. It was like when Eisenhower was elected, there was one Democrat. Like when Eisenhower was reelected, there was one Democrat that did the "I'm going to stand up to eject because I don't believe in the Electoral College."
Yeah,
And
by the
then
way,
he
there's a
did that,
huge difference between that
but
and like it's the
yeah,
electoral
there
college.
is a difference. There is a difference between that. But when Reagan was elected, like when Reagan beat Carter, there was more of those people.
Okay.
And then Reagan, I mean,
But again, like, is this the
there's
party
nobody
line
that
or is
objected.
this just people who don't like the electoral college? Because there's lots of people in the Democratic Party who
But
don't like it and who just want the popular vote.
when Reagan was elected, it wasn't that.
I mean,
Because if you looked at the polling data of that election, Jimmy Carter was going to win that election until a week before the election when they had the one debate. They had the one debate, and then everybody was like, "I'm not voting for Jimmy Carter." And they had that debate a week before the election. But yeah, the polling data in the 1980 election had Jimmy Carter winning up until the debate.
okay. I mean, I feel like I have to fact check everything that you are saying because that you believe in the uranium one conspiracy theory. Um, but
But if okay, but we need, because I've got like seriously like 5 minutes before I gotta go. But like if you want the foreign policy, I'm trying to collect myself here. The foreign the main reason is like the Europeans are being fucking duplicitous with it, you know. And if you say well, the Democrats would have done this if they would have if when they invaded Ukraine in 2020 either way. Well, in
you mean in
2014 when the
2022?
Russians
Hmm.
yeah, in 2022. In 2014 when the Russians invaded the first time, they they did, this is Barack Obama,
You
tell Putin after the election I'm going to have more breathing room to deal with him.
you realize that like I feel like you keep going back to Obama as if to try to yeah, Obama screwed up on Russia. Okay, he did a bad job
Yeah,
with that.
because
But Obama and Biden are not the same person, and Biden had a different view
yeah,
of Russia, and he clearly wanted to handle it differently. So I don't know why you keep bringing up what
he
Obama did.
he had a different view of Russia because he was too demented to realize the fucking bullshit that his party was peddling about Trump and Russia.
Wait, what do you mean he was no, that's not why. Have you
That is 100% the reason
No,
why.
it's not. There was I'm pretty sure.
And
Okay,
and
hold on.
and if Biden,
Have you heard about Bob Woodward's book War? Because I believe in that book he talks about Ukraine and Russia and how Biden was annoyed. Like he didn't even like he was not okay with like even back when he was vice president he didn't like the policy towards Russia and the whole like reset thing because he never trusted Putin and he didn't think that he was like going to be a good dude. So I don't like I feel like this is a fantasy that you have come up with, this
well,
weird conspiracy that you have that all of a sudden Democrats turned against Russia because of Trump, as opposed to like they looked at
they
what Russia
I,
was
I
doing
mean that
and they were like, okay, yeah, we were wrong about Russia. And I don't even think every Democrat necessarily agree with Obama either.
well, I mean in a way, like, okay, so when the coup happened to remove Gorbachev, and it failed.
Okay.
A lot of those
We're
people,
going back real
a lot
far.
of those
Okay.
people, yeah, a lot of those people claimed asylum in the United States. Their kids get citizenship. They're not going to be, they're going to go to the political party that's not Ronald Reagan.
Okay.
And that's that's a lot of the reason why the Democratic Party has like its Russophobic view, I think.
You mean wait,
Like
Russophobic or Russophilic? Are you trying to
Russo
are you trying to say
the
that
Democrat.
are you trying to say that the Democrats are pro Russia today because a bunch of
No,
a,
no, 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 no. They're anti-Russia. They're
okay,
anti because all those people that left the Soviet Union after the failed coup of Gorbachev, they're going to go and they're going to join the Democrat Party because they're not going to join. Those guys aren't going to join the party of Reagan.
okay, this is like such a weird. Okay, so you're trying to say that a small group of people who left because of the Gorbachev coup, like, are you trying to say these people are communists, or are these people just like anti-Soviet Union? Like, and they're joining the Democratic Party. Why wouldn't they join the Ronald Reagan? Ronald Reagan was very
Oh, I mean,
anti-communist.
are they communists? Communist light? But what I'm saying is those people when they came here weren't going to join the Republican Party because that's the party of Reagan. And that's sort of the genesis, I believe, of the Democratic parties today 30 years later.
So you're trying to say that the Democratic Party
Genesis.
is far left and communist? Is that where we're going with this? Because I understand that that's what Republicans believe.
I mean, that's definitely the direction they're going in today. If you look at, well, I mean, Bernie Sanders is a Trotskyite.
It's not.
But Bernie Sanders isn't the future of the party. Like AOC and Zoran Mondami is the future of the Democratic Party.
I don't know that is true. I think that those people will always be part of the Democratic Party, but if you think that those people are the future of the Democratic Party, then you are drinking the same Kool-Aid that all the dumb far leftists are drinking on Twitter. Like
it's not Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama. That's not the future of the Democratic Party. And the Democratic Party is being pulled way to the left today.
Yeah, they are being pulled further to the left.
I mean, they're running an open communist for the mayor of New York City.
What do you mean they're running an open? You mean New York Democrats are running an open communist? New York City, which by the way is a very blue city.
It's a very blue city.
You understand?
Zoran Mondami isn't going to win an election in Texas. Zoran Mondami isn't going to win a Democratic primary.
Texas. He also wouldn't win the national Democratic primary, and he wouldn't win the presidency either. But he certainly wouldn't win the Democratic nomination for president either.
I mean, that's because the current DNC strategy, or the DNC leadership, would just kneecap him like they did Bernie Sanders.
That's not what happened. They did not kneecap Bernie Sanders. Bernie lost. He did not have the popular support. If you look at the amount of votes that he won, he lost. I don't know. Like, wow, you believe all the conspiracies, don't you? That's a leftist conspiracy theory. That's what leftists say, far leftists. I mean, I know that you probably think that because this is what conservatives think. I know you probably think that I'm exactly the same as people like Cenk Uygur and Kyle Kulinski and Hassan Piker, but I'm not. I'm a liberal. So you recognize there's a difference between liberals and communists, okay? So you don't think that we're all the same?
Yeah, communists aren't liberals.
Yeah, all right. Well, the majority of the Democratic Party is liberals. Most of the Democratic base is liberals. They're not communists or socialists. And that's why Bernie Sanders didn't win.
Bernie Sanders probably would have won. He probably would have won the 2020 nomination if it hadn't been.
No, he wouldn't have.
If it hadn't have been for the phone calls Barack Obama made before Super Tuesday.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Okay, let's think about this. So, because I remember this whole strategy, which I thought was incredibly ridiculous. So Bernie Sanders' strategy in 2020 was that he was basically going to do the same thing that Trump did. Okay, that Trump did in the 2016 primary, where he was going to have it so that he won the most votes because he split the vote among, or because that like everybody else was voting for all the other people around him, and their votes were all split, right? So that Donald Trump ended up getting the most votes because that all the other people, because like the more moderate Republicans never coalesced around one particular person. That was his
Yeah,
strat.
yeah.
Yes.
Just, John Kasich is the reason why we have Donald Trump today.
Yeah, like
If there's
that.
one person in America who's responsible for Donald Trump, it's John Kasich.
Yeah, okay. So that was what Bernie's strategy was. But here's the thing. Yeah, that's not what happened with the Democrats.
Well,
Because
I mean,
wait, hold on. Let me finish.
well,
Because the
because
majority of the thing is that doesn't mean that the majority of Democrats liked Bernie Sanders, because all the rest of the party, like Bernie was winning, like let's say I think it like, like 35% of the vote, and then every other candidate was each getting like 15. But that means that all of those other people within the party, they all would have like united behind a single moderate candidate, and that's what happened because everybody else dropped out and threw their weight behind Joe Biden. Like, this does not prove that Bernie Sanders would have won if like it, because he still wasn't popular. Like, he wasn't popular enough to
if
overcome that. Like, what the hell obviously they
if
saw what he was doing, and that's why they all dropped out and threw their weight behind Joe Biden, because the majority of the party still
well,
wanted the
yeah, I mean that.
moderate
Well,
Democrat.
no, that's like a fundamental difference between the Republican and the Democratic Party. And the Democratic Party isn't going to let somebody like Donald Trump win the nomination, right?
I I feel like you're like putting like so much, like you're not understanding what I'm saying here. I'm saying that the reason why Donald Trump won the Republican nomination is because of vote splitting. And the Democrats looked at that and
Yeah,
they said,
yeah,
"We're not going
I
to
get
do
that.
that." Well, yeah, but why is that a bad thing? I think vote splitting sucks. What's wrong
It's
with being
not. I'm not.
strategic?
I'm not saying it's a bad thing.
Okay,
I'm just saying it's a fundamental the way like if we go back to 2008 when it was Hillary and Obama running against each other,
yes.
and Hillary was going after all the super delegates while Obama's winning the majority of the primaries, but Hillary's still going after the super delegates. And then you start to read the Democratic Party bylaws, and there's actually more super delegates than there are delegates in the primaries and caucuses that they have.
Yeah, the superdelegate
Like,
shit
'cause
was weird. Yes.
yeah, because and if we're being fair, the Republican Party has super delegates too, but the Republican Party super delegates are like 100. There are not a lot of Republican Party super delegates, and there's way more in the Republican primary in 2008. There were way more delegates to get the nomination available than there were super delegates. To where I think like in the Democratic Party it was like a 60-40 split or something like that.
Okay.
And it's like the Democratic Party is a more centrally controlled party than the Republican Party.
I mean, even if that, I'm pretty sure. I feel like they changed the rules, or they changed something about the
Yeah,
superdelegates,
they
because I remember that was like a big controversy after 2008. I think that they changed a bunch of shit
yeah, they
related to
did. They
that.
did. And they changed it in 2016 because I mean nobody's gonna primary Barack Obama.
You mean in
Like
2012?
yeah, in 2012. In 2012, nobody's gonna primary Barack Obama, right?
Yeah,
So the
that's
next
not
the next
typically
time
how.
they
Yeah.
yeah, the next like to have a serious, you're gonna have to have like serious, like wheels. Oh my God, the wheels have fallen off. The earth's on fire, type of shit. But like they changed because the next competitive primary is 2016. They changed the rules for it again, and they became more like the Republican Party, where they got rid of most of their super delegates.
Okay.
And it's
Yeah, I figured that they did that. So again, like we're
But
back
I mean,
to
Hillary Clinton had that nomination locked up.
yeah, she did
I
because
mean, she
that
was.
because yeah, the voters chose her though. If you think that they didn't, then like you're like it was not rigged against Bernie and nor was 2020.
Well, I
Like
mean,
he just lost. He wasn't able to pick up like he also couldn't get the black vote in the same way that Biden could. And that's a big problem because that's an important like group of people that he needs to be able to win in order to win like that's an important part of the Democratic coalition and those people just didn't vote for him.
I understand that. And the Bernie not getting the black vote. I mean, I don't know why Bernie wouldn't get the black vote.
Probably because that black people are a little bit more conservative and they probably don't like the idea of communism. And I think that that is something as well that
Well,
probably helped sink Bernie is the
I
fact that
under
he is
because
a self-admitted socialist.
well, I mean, Bernie Sanders is a Trotskyite.
I don't think I've ever heard him say that, but honestly, in terms of policies, Bernie's basically just a social democrat. But that's like whatever. Like yeah,
Well, I
like
mean, he's like most socialists here in America. And I mean, when I say America, I mean like North America, South America. Most socialists are Trotskyites here because Trotsky came over after he was kicked out of the Soviet Union. Like that's where they draw their like Castro, Che Guevara.
okay,
Those guys were Trotskyites.
okay. I mean, I don't think that like Bernie doesn't really talk about that. The kind of policies that he advocates for are for the most part sock dem policies, meaning that he is like a you know like the Nordic model from Sweden basically. Like he's a um yeah, he's like
Yeah,
sock
and
dems are like more left-wing liberals essentially. He had some
and
other
when
policies that are more
and when
properly
he
socialist,
and
but he's
when he brings that up, the Nordic countries are like, we're not anything like that. But I mean,
I don't
that's here.
what do you mean
That's here.
they're okay.
The every time he brings up like, I just want to do what like Norway does. I just want to do what Norway does. Well, I mean, Norway is pretty much an ethnic ethno nationalist state with a large oil and gas reserve.
I mean, they're not really they just don't have as many immigrant like yeah, if you want to say they're a homogenous society, that's fine. They're also a lot smaller than the United States, which means that it
Oh
would be
yeah,
harder
yeah.
and they have and yeah, like they have but I mean America's got a large oil and gas reserve too. So, but yeah, if you want to
Yeah,
say that
we just don't exploit it. That's the problem.
I mean that's a whole other conversation, but um because I actually do think climate change is real and I'm assuming you probably don't, but that's a whole other conversation. In any case, I what?
I mean, well, I mean, I'm one of the problems for climate change. So, because I've got I've got a flight that leaves here at 11 o'clock. So
Oh, you have to leave.
that's kind of why I'm on a. No, I'm a I fly Gulfstreams and Learjets around. So yeah, I'm not the one. I'm more the problem of climate change.
Yeah, but well, yeah, but
Um,
do you if you think it's real, then that's at least something because like
oh, it's definitely real.
do you think it's just not a
It's
bad thing or that humans aren't causing it?
no, it's how do we I don't believe in your socialist policies to solve the problem because I don't think the the oh my god, hair on fire climate change
I mean,
fanatic.
I don't know what you mean
They're
by socialist policies or your socialist policies. Honestly, I just think that like I don't think there's anything wrong with the government like incentivizing like people to like, you know, invest in like green energy or whatever. And I don't think there's
well
anything
no,
wrong
and
with further
I don't
that's all I
necessarily
want. Like I'm not yeah.
I don't necessarily I don't necessarily see a problem with that. My problem is like, yeah, could the United States, the European Union we're a rich enough country that we could probably shoulder the 5 to 10% lower living standards to do all of these things.
I mean,
But
you're
that's
assuming
not
that
going to.
there's going to be lower living standards, and I feel like there's probably a way that. Listen, I don't think anything's going to happen with climate change because that is a future problem, and humans don't tend to see the world that way, and
Well,
humans
that and
aren't going
it's
to
like,
want to do anything about climate change because that would mean that they would have to and also if it did involve any sort of sacrifice, they certainly wouldn't want to, especially since it involves solving a problem that is in the future.
well, the other problem is like the United States and the European Union, we aren't the drivers of climate change, right? I mean, the drivers of
Yes,
climate
yes, I
change,
know. Yes, it's China. Yes.
yeah, it's China and India, and in 50 years, it's going to be Africa and Latin America, right? If we
Yeah,
if
yeah, I
we
know.
keep,
I'm aware, but sorry, I did not mean to take us there. Also, I don't know if you have to go or not.
yeah.
Like, we will definitely talk again,
Well, I
though.
mean, I just got to pre-flight an airplane, so
Pre-flight and
that's
oh, okay.
yeah.
All
But yeah,
right.
but
At 10:30 at night.
yeah, I'm getting ready to fly to Europe, so
Ah, okay. Wow, you travel all the time, don't you?
pretty much. Well, I mean, if I'm not most of the time, like most of my flights around the United States, I'm actually flying like cancer drugs
Oh,
because I mean, these drugs, they only like from the time they're manufactured to the time they have to be administered, it's like 48 to 72
you
hours.
what are your thoughts on the COVID vaccines?
Uh, I'm kind of pissed that I was forced to take it
I see.
because they didn't work, and
That's
yeah,
not true.
they didn't work. They didn't work as advertised. Like I'm sitting in a cockpit with a guy shoulder to shoulder. Because back then, I mean, yeah, I've got a couple crazy stories because I was flying cargo back between Russia or not back between the United States and China mainly back in 2020. Uh, yeah, and I didn't get COVID until after I was vaccinated.
I mean, yeah, but you probably got it. It probably was less bad than it would have been if you had been vaccinated.
I'm not 100% sure because I mean I'm a relatively
If you
well, I mean
if you look
I'm a relatively healthy.
if you look at any of the data related to that, that generally is the case. Like the COVID vaccine wasn't necessarily going to prevent you 100% from getting sick, but it would help stop the spread, and it would also make it so that it wouldn't be as bad. Like you wouldn't have to did you have to go to the hospital?
Oh no, I mean I was out. It the first time I got COVID, it was pretty funny because it was actually during the Kyle Rittenhouse trial that I got COVID.
I
So I
see.
mean I was just yeah, I was just terminally online during that whole 2 week period.
Well, you know what? It sounds like it wasn't as bad as it could have been, because maybe you might have had to go to the hospital if you didn't take the vaccine, and that was the
I don't
point.
well, I mean, you can neither it's you can't say it can't be proven either way, right?
I
Like
mean,
if I would have had my choice, I would have not taken the vaccine.
yeah, that's I just got to say that's unfortunate. And I think that that is a big problem. And that's one of the big problems that I have with Donald Trump and the extent to which that he basically contributed
Well,
to all this conspiracy bullshit. Cuz
well, it's, if you want to talk about conspiracy and the COVID vaccine, I
yeah,
mean,
there's a lot of dumb
what do you think?
conspiracies
What do you think?
surrounding COVID and the vaccine.
Well, what do you think of Kamala Harris and Joe Biden being like, "Don't take a Donald Trump vaccine," and then the minute they get into office, they're like, "You have to take this vaccine, even though it's a Donald Trump vaccine, to keep your job."
That's not exactly what they said. and I think that was something
I
Kamala Harris
that is
said.
that is that is
No, that's
100%
no,
what
it's
Kamala Harris
not
said.
exact. She said she was saying something to the effect of, I wouldn't necessarily trust it if it was just Donald Trump that came out with it or something. Like I'd have to go back and look. But also, you know what? That was stupid and she shouldn't have said that. But like
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
that
Well, go
doesn't
figure. Kamala Harris said something stupid.
I yeah, listen, you don't have any room to stand on when it comes to talking about people saying stupid stuff because you voted for Trump, and that guy is a rambling moron who just I don't even know what the hell is going on with him. If you think that Joe Biden was senile, Donald Trump is absolutely senile. He's probably
Mm,
more senile.
well, I mean, my problem with like Joe Biden had the signs long before he ever got into office, and you
Um,
could,
I don't.
and it's
It,
I'll say this because I've actually watched family members die with Alzheimer's. You know, I'm old enough to actually watch that shit happen, and that's like he wasn't vice president. It wasn't long ago that he was vice president, right? We're still talking within the last 10 years.
yeah,
And
he definitely, he also definitely was like, he sounded considerably better when he was vice president. But, and by the way, just
yeah,
like,
yeah, that's
if you're going to cite the fact that he has a stutter, like, he's had a stutter for
no,
years.
no, no, no,
That's
no,
his
no, no, no,
misspeak,
no,
or yeah, but that's the
no,
origin of
no.
his misspeaks.
Well, the origin of Biden's misspeaks is that he's just as much a fucking idiot than anybody else. Sorry that I cursed.
It's fine. You can curse. I don't care. I mean, I think it's because he's got a stutter, and I think that that leads him to engage in
I
misspeaking. I mean, I'm not saying that like he doesn't or that like yeah, sometimes politicians aren't great at public speaking, but but like Joe Biden is absolutely far more intelligent
well,
and articulate than Donald Trump.
well, I would say like did you see? I want to say the video of him like he was in that firehouse. I want to say in Pennsylvania, and the guy had a MAGA hat on or a Trump hat, and he put the Trump hat on. It's like Joe Biden was a better retail politician than definitely he's definitely a better retail politician than like Kamala Harris or Hillary Clinton, right?
Um, sure, I guess. Like,
Because well, it's you know like Bill Clinton's a very good retail politician, and in a way, Donald Trump is a very good retail politician.
I mean, I guess you could say that. To be completely honest with you, I do not understand Trump's appeal. I think he just sounds like an idiot every time he opens his mouth. He sounds incredibly
Well,
stupid.
I
I think that he has lower, like he makes America look really, really bad. And I don't like. I feel like he has turned the United
well,
States into a
I mean,
joke.
you're you're Canadian, right?
Yeah, I am, but like, I mean, I kind of. Yes, I'm Canadian, although my mom's
Well,
American. So
okay, okay.
I've been
Do
to the States lots
you
of
do
times.
do you care? It doesn't matter whether you've been to the States or not. I was like, do you? Because I've had this conversation with many Europeans, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you care what I think about Mark Carney?
Um, I mean, not really, but I think that that's a little bit different because, like,
I mean, why? Like, I will tell you,
do you,
like, I wouldn't have voted for Mark Carney. Now, I would
yeah,
also
I'm
wouldn't have
sure
voted
you.
for, I wouldn't have voted for Pierre Polyev.
Who would you have voted for?
I don't know. I'm not that steeped in Canadian politics outside of just outside of just the Liberal Party and the Conservative
All
Party
right,
of
that's
Canada.
fine. That's fine. Thank you for not saying that you would have voted for the People's Party of Canada. That's good enough for me.
Well, I mean, I'm just I don't feel like because I'm American, I don't feel like I am educated enough on Canadian politics to know who I would vote for or not.
That's fine. Yeah, that's fine. It's cool for you to say that. Like, as you obviously could tell, I have a pretty huge interest in American politics, and I have for
I
years
mean,
since
that's fine.
Bush. And yeah, I
That's,
think part of it is because my mom's American, and like, it's not just
well,
I've been to the States like lots of times, as in like when I was a kid, we went there every summer to visit my grandparents on my mom's side, and then
yeah,
like yeah,
that's
so
fine.
yeah,
I'm just saying, and I understand why Canadians have more of an interest, and Europeans or Western Europeans really have more of an interest in American politics than,
yeah, it's because you
say,
guys
an American.
impact the rest of the world.
Well, I mean, it's like you get back to one of my problems with Europe and Europeans is, you know, if Germany, the UK, and France have a problem with Vladimir Putin invading Ukraine, that sounds like a problem for Germany, the UK, and France to deal with, and not necessarily the United States. Like
Um, I
we've done the European war thing twice in the last 100 years, and at this point,
you don't think that like it's good for the United States overall to like put the kibosh on countries like Russia thinking that they can invade their neighbors and like
uh,
normalizing that behavior again.
well, I think it's good for the United States to put the kibosh on the whole European continent from doing that again. And that's largely what we've been doing for the last 80 years.
Yeah, okay. Well, Russia's the one who wants to do that right now, so therefore it's
Well,
good for them to stop them from doing
yeah,
that.
and the Europe it's like, okay, so Russia invades Ukraine, and what is Germany's response? Oh, we're going to increase our defense spending by 500 million euros. Okay, good. But we aren't going to do anything to upgrade our military. And we're still going to force the United States to deploy an extra combat brigade because the Bundeswehr can't deploy a fully equipped division to defend Berlin if they needed to.
Okay, if you want to like listen, we can make valid criticisms of like Europe's military readiness, and I think that that's fair in terms of like the threat of Russia or whatever, and the extent to which they have leaned on the United States. But like once again, like I would argue that I do think that it feels like now you're making like more isolationist arguments in the sense where like it seems like you just don't want the United
It's
States to be involved, and I'm sorry to say, but like globalism is a thing that is here to stay, and it's not going anywhere.
I I'm not I'm not like isolationist in that we should stay out of it. I think I mean, the European Union's economy is almost the size of the United States. The European Union can contribute more, and you talk about Canada.
The European Union has, I believe, contributed more aid to Ukraine like in total than the US has in terms of like the amount of money that they have spent overall, all countries combined. Like Trump is lying when he
Yeah,
says
but
that
it's
that
still
America gave them $350 billion. That's not true. That's not a real number. That's not the amount.
it's my problem is the type of aid that Ukraine has given them. And we've given the Ukrainians intelligence data.
Yeah, that's something that should
Like,
continue, by the way, because that I don't because like there's nothing wrong. And also the US benefits from that too, because they
I
exchange the intelligence data, right? Like they
I
get
don't well
information from like everything that Ukraine learns in their drone warfare is information that then gets given back to NATO and the United States. Like that kind of intelligence sharing is good, is it
yeah, that
not?
kind of intelligence sharing is good. And I mean, yeah, we should the United States Army definitely needs to be doing more to prepare itself for the kind of fight it's going to find itself in 10 to 15 years.
I assume you think that there's going to be a war with China in 10 to 15 years.
Uh it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, it wouldn't surprise me either. Although I definitely think that one thing that will certainly embolden China to attack Taiwan will be if the United States and Europe fail to like help Ukraine out and basically send the message that it's okay to invade your neighbors because they're not going to
I
suffer any consequences.
Well, what consequences has Russia suffered?
Their economy is in the shitter right now. They've like completely cut themselves off from the rest of the world. They've lost like a whole bunch of soldiers. All of their soldiers are old now because all the young soldiers that they
I,
initially had are
I,
dead.
I mean, have you looked at pictures of the Ukrainian formations?
Yes, yes,
They're
yes,
they're
yes, yes. The Ukrainian soldiers
they're
are also
just as
old.
bad, if not worse off. And a lot of it is, Ukraine
Yeah,
and
but
Russia they aren't drafting the 20-year-olds. They're drafting the 30 to 35, 40-year-old
it's
people.
well, no, it's not the 20-year-olds. It's that so Ukraine has not yet drafted its like the 18, 19-year-olds in their country.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's the 20 somethings that they
they're
have
they're
drafted, and now that's yeah.
they're returning to the pre-World War I model of drafting.
But the thing is that typically, or at least most of the time, historically speaking anyway, it's easier to be the defending army than it is to be the invading army. And the
Yeah,
defending
that's
army
true.
is usually going to have considerably more motivation to defend their country. Whereas like the Russians, it's an army of conscripts, and I don't really think that a lot of them even really like know or care what they're fighting for. Like it's like the Americans in Vietnam, right? Like how motivated were they when like a lot of them didn't even necessarily understand exactly why they were there,
I
except it was
don't.
like, let's fight against communism, guys, rah rah. Whereas they were fighting against the Viet Cong, who were a group of people who saw them as invaders. Like it's always going to be easier for like to defend than it is going to be to invade. And if they can make Russia bleed for every square inch they take, which is what they're going to do, they have less casualties than Russia does. Then I
Yeah,
think yeah, and their logistics are
I,
better too, which is really important. It's not just
uh,
about manpower. Like Ukrainian logistics are really good. They've done a whole bunch of things that are very creative with the drone stuff, and yeah, like they're managing to do a lot of stuff
no,
on very little.
well, I mean, both sides have been pretty creative with what they've done with drones.
Um,
Both sides have been pretty.
yeah, Russia has, yeah, they have. Although I would argue that,
They
like, I feel like with Ukraine, it's been a lot more. Like, I mean, I just keep going back to that example where they snuck those drones across the border and like and blew up a bunch like some of those expensive aircraft with like
well,
fucking
I mean,
like cheap ass drones.
that's that's a scary proposition because the same thing could happen here in the United States for sure.
Yeah, well then like that's something
And
else that
that's
the American army can get ready for. That's something
well, no, and
they learned a bunch of
that's
shit from that, I imagine, or they should have anyway.
well, and that's like another reason why I bring up another reason why I voted for Trump in the last, like, seriously, this is the last like minute I've got.
Okay.
Uh the border, which I mean I almost tie into foreign policy too. Is like if you watch that attack that Ukraine pulled off, or like the attack that Israel pulled off before we did that stupid thing of bombing Iran. I
Um,
that's
yeah.
that's pretty fucking scary. Where like and if you look at the numbers, like there's 700,000 Chinese nationals led into the United States under the Biden administration,
Okay. What do you think
and
they came in through the southern border or did they just like fly in? Because that's probably
a lot of them came in through the southern border. Like you can go to Panama where they were coming in building the. That's another thing. You ceding the Panama Canal to China. It's almost like the president was a paid lackey of China. But I mean,
okay. Now you're yeah, yeah, yes,
that's a
yes.
whole other conversation.
I understand. You have a lot of you
But
believe in a lot of isn't it weird things. I get it. Which
But
is another way of saying conspiracy theories, by the way. If your only evidence for
that's okay.
something is isn't it weird, then it's a conspiracy
Oh
theory.
no, the evidence for that is the millions of dollars that the Chinese government gave the Biden family. And I mean millions of
Yeah.
dollars they gave them.
Hold on. If you're talking about that Hunter Biden thing, then again, that's another isn't it weird?
I mean,
Hunter Biden having business dealings with Chinese businessmen does not mean that Joe Biden was in their pocket.
well, there's a reason why Barack Obama, within the 6 months after that meeting, had to send Robert Gates and Hillary Clinton to China to tell them to knock it off. Because he tried to send Joe Biden, and Joe Biden came back with a bunch of fucking money bags.
Yeah, again, like you're in the like I feel like that's not true at all.
But I mean,
just there's no way
like
that
I could
like if this Hunter Biden shit was half as true, then the Republicans would have got him on something.
Can I just rein us back in to a little bit? Like, okay, so these 700,000 Chinese nationals came into the United States under the Biden administration, and you don't think that China would be able to pull off a similar attack? Like, imagine if
I'm
Japanese,
not saying, yeah, sure, yeah, maybe they could, but you know what? Isn't it great that Ukraine did that and that America was able to learn from that? Because the Chinese didn't pull off that, or they didn't do that.
Well,
and also, by the way,
my problem is that when China moves against Taiwan, that's what they do. Like I've war gamed this out a bit.
I don't think, here's my issue. I think that if competent people were in charge of the Pentagon, instead of people who were obsessed with purging DEI and not having fat generals and all this other dumb, weird shit, then I think that that's something that y'all don't really have to worry about. But right now, my fear is that Kash Patel and Pete Hegseth are going to fuck up the FBI and the Department of Defense because they are both wholly unqualified for the positions that they are in.
The FBI should be destroyed. I mean, look at what came out. Look at what came out this week. Like they're getting the phone records of sitting United States senators.
You don't think that there should be like a federal law enforcement agency?
There should be a federal law enforcement agency, but I would be 100% for getting rid of every FBI agent.
What?
The FBI, it's sort of, well, it's like because my sister lives in Chicago, I have this discussion with her all the time about Chicago being the most corrupt police department. And pretty much the only way to fix the problem would be to fire every police officer in, because if you got a corrupt police officer that turns a blind eye to some of the gang activity, and not only that, but gets paid off by the gang activity, and it's like, okay,
I understand that. Yes, I understand Chicago has corruption problems.
Like if you want to, and every Chicago mayor runs on cleaning up the Chicago Police Department, and the Chicago Police Department never gets cleaned up.
Okay,
and it's because they're pretty corrupt. And if you want to get rid of that corruption, you almost have to go in and fire every Chicago police officer, like from the chief.
I'm sure that there are other ways. Listen, I'm not a fan of throwing the baby out with the bathwater, which is what you are basically talking about right now.
At this point, they're not. It's
also, by the way, I feel like there's a huge difference between like getting rid of like the Chicago Police Department and like basically like firing all those people and like hiring new officers or whatever from other places because you could do that. There's a big difference between that and getting rid of the entirety of the
Well,
FBI by getting rid of all of a
well,
bunch
and
of
that's
wholly qualified agents, which by the way, right now that's what's happening. Kash Patel fired a bunch of like good like law enforcement officers basically because that they didn't pass the Trump political purity test. And now those
well,
people are
it's
suing.
okay. They can sue, but
I
I
mean, yeah,
mean,
because he broke the law because it's against the Hatch Act. You're not supposed to bring politics into the FBI like that.
you're not supposed to campaign. And by the
You're
way,
not
you know,
supposed to
when you're
do
the FBI,
political
when
purity
you're
tests and asks who you
when
voted for.
when I mean, it's not anything than what Bill Clinton did when he came into office and fired every U.S. district attorney in the country. It's not any different
That
than what Barack Obama
that's
did
not
when
that's not what I'm
Barack
talking
Obama,
about. These two things are not the same
yeah,
thing.
Barack Obama fired 197 flag officers from the military. And you know what? To be honest, like if I were Donald Trump or Pete Hegseth when I came into office, I would have fired every military officer above the rank of colonel. And I mean, this is somebody I spent a significant amount of time in the army.
Why would you get rid of like qualified people?
Well, mainly because they lost the war.
What, you
I
mean
mean, I
Afghanistan?
had, I had friends in Kabul when Kabul fell,
Also, not every,
and
if you think every single one of those people is responsible for Afghanistan. By the way, I really hope that you put at least some of the blame on Trump for that because he's the one who
yeah,
negotiated that deal.
yeah, I, Trump does share part of the blame.
And
And
like
you know what? And I will even give courtesy to Biden in getting out of Afghanistan was probably the right policy position.
yeah, because it was because nation building sucks and they absolutely
But I
did
mean
not.
that's and you know, you go back into history, our problem is that we don't fight wars to win wars, we fight wars to manage them. And like if you look at the last year we were in Afghanistan is that we were basically running air support for the Taliban because the Taliban was fighting an ISIS group. Did I just
What?
get kicked?
No, you did not get kicked. Hold on.
No, I got a Discord message. Oh no, somebody else came in.
Yes, who just joined?
Yeah.
Um. Oh, is it USDA? Is it SDA? Did
Lord,
S? Hmm?
Lord Big Balls has joined the chat.
SDA is a libertarian. I don't know.
Yeah, well I mean
I don't describe myself that way. I'm much more.
I mean I like to describe myself as probably the most libertarian person you'll ever meet.
I mean, I'm sure you put it in your Tinder profile because you're too scared to put your actual conservative position so you can get laid. But I doubt very much you're libertarian at all.
Oh my god.
Well, what?
By the way, if you don't want him,
Okay,
you can just say
whatever,
I mean,
whatever. I mean,
here's the thing though, dude. Like there are a lot of people who say that they are libertarians who actually aren't libertarians and who are okay with the
yeah,
government sticking their
no, pretty.
like
I
sticking
I
its
got
nose into things that it shouldn't. Like people's
I
bedrooms,
got
for
I got
example.
kicked out. I got kicked out of the Libertarian Party of Texas because of my stance on the border, and that was the only disagreement I had with them.
What's your stance on the border? You want tighter regulation and controls, or
Yes, yes.
specifically to combat illegal immigration, or all immigration, or
Uh, well, 10 years ago, I would have said just illegal immigration, but I mean, in the last couple years, it's almost like, you talk about putting sanctions against China and Russia or China and India for buying Russian oil. Like, I think the better way to punish them would have been to severely restrict student visas from China and India, which, I mean, we should be restricting student visas from China to begin with, anyways. But I mean, that's if it comes in, if it comes, I'm a libertarian in every sense of the word, except for the libertarian stance on the border.
What do you think the libertarian stance on? Well, okay, when I say this, you can start with party, but then move to ideal, please, because the party and ideal is different, right? We can agree on that.
Yeah, yeah.
So start with what you think the party's position is, and then move to the ideal. Because I'm actually not too. I don't keep up with the Libertarian Party after Ron Paul. So
I mean, my experience is that they are mostly open borders, and the closest I would say to an actual, or I mean, because it would be Dave Smith, even though I don't necessarily agree with Dave Smith's view on Ukraine or Israel. But I mean, that's another conversation, and I seriously have a hard time of 11 o'clock.
okay, and then what is your ideal? What is like the ideal libertarian like position or philosophy?
Hold on. When you say 11 o'clock, you mean like 11 EST, Eastern Standard Time?
Yeah.
Like,
Okay, that's
Yeah.
1 minute, but yeah, go on.
Ask your question again.
what is the ideal libertarian position in your mind? What is the principled position?
The ideal?
Yeah, not the party, not fake ass loser Dave Smith, the ideal. Like, what in your mind represents a libertarian position? It doesn't even have to be your own. You can be a different type of libertarian.
I should be able to own nuclear weapons, although that's a bit
No,
extreme,
on the
right?
border, on
On the
immigration,
border,
on immigration in general.
on immigration. We should definitely limit the amount of legal immigration to the country, but illegal immigration, it's no. Like, if you try to cross the border illegally and stay, you shouldn't be allowed back in the country.
Okay.
But I mean, I know that's not really the ideal libertarian position would be like completely open borders, right?
I don't like the term open borders. If you want me to expound,
Freedom. Would you say freedom of movement?
that would be the principle, but the policy would be reverting back to how the United States for its first 150 years, and that's the policy of free immigration. Basically, if you're not a threat to this country, you're not carrying communicable diseases, and you're not indigent, like you're not dead weight, you can come and leave. You can come to this country, work a job, own property, pay taxes, contribute, and eventually apply for citizenship and leave at your leisure.
I would say I would agree with that ideal.
Cool.
I would agree with that policy.
Mhm.
The problem is that
Please don't say what.
we live in the real world, right? We don't live in the ideal world. So we have to have some sort of policy to discourage the rampant illegal immigration that we've had for, I would argue, for the last 30 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
How about
Well,
immigration reform?
I know you. Yeah, I know you have to go, but I will say the position you've stated moves us further from a world of the libertarian ideal, and actually increases and encourages illegal immigration.
Well, real quick, what's another bring up another policy? Because
Well,
I'll tell you my baseline.
Let me just finish where I was going. Basically, your suggestion of A, cracking down on illegal immigration, and B, being even more restrictive on legal immigration, one of them is going to marginally decrease, right? Cracking down on illegal immigration, but the amount of immigration in general but increasing the difficulty of entering the United States legally, which is already pretty incredibly difficult to do, to even just get worker status, permanent residence, or anything like that. The more you raise the bar to get in legally, the whole lot more motivated people are going to be to get in legally. And the number of people you're going to attract that you don't really want in your country through illegal immigration is going to be higher than the individuals you do want to attract through any other legal process. But with that said, even the vast majority of people coming into the country illegally are not harmful individuals.
And that's where I would disagree.
Okay.
I would disagree with that.
It's
Because
pretty
if you're-
hard to disagree with statistics, but the vast majority of them come here, live and they work. They have a lower propensity to commit violent crimes. They pay more and they contribute more to social services than they consume. They actually broadly pay into like our welfare programs, like Social Security, to the tunes of tens of billions, I think even hundreds of billions of dollars, something like that. Like they just pay taxes and work jobs.
Yeah, and
they consume a lot of goods, so they buy products, they rent houses,
And who's compiling these stats?
Lots of different people. One of them is the federal government, and then there's also states, local municipalities, and then organizations, nonprofits, NGOs, all these kind of things. But all their data is public.
It's like you look at presidential polls, right? And you have these polling outfits where, you know, if in November we come in and we say that if we believe these polls in November, then Kamala Harris would be president today.
So, sure, but this isn't about polling. This isn't about.
And then, like when you ask, it's like when it comes out and says, "Oh, 60% of the people don't agree with Donald Trump's policies towards illegal immigration," and there are these same polling outfits that couldn't accurately predict within the margin of error the last election less than a year ago.
It was really close.
Why should we?
Well, let's
back
off topic here. The point is that polling is very substantially different than demographic information collecting and analysis. Like we're not talking about going out with a checkboard and asking people questions. This is about multi-level analysis of massive databases of people from the U.S. Census all the way down to municipal arrest records, trying to figure out, A, how many people in this country are illegally here, and B, how many of them are committing crimes, and then all of the other stuff about what services do they consume, what do they contribute, all these.
How many illegal immigrants do you think are here?
Anywhere from 10 to 20 million people, probably closer to 10.
Well, I mean, in Georgia, I'm old enough. I'm old enough to remember George Bush, and I'm old enough to have voted for Barack Obama.
Same.
I remember in 2008 they were talking about it's 11 million people.
I remember that number too.
And we let in 8 million that we know of under the Biden administration. So to say that there's only 10 to 20 million people here, that's probably on the low end.
No, it's probably in the right range because people who enter illegally don't often stay undocumented. They get here and they try any process they can to get documentation, and they're granted that.
Yeah, but I mean, that's
especially over a period of 20 years. I don't like, or not like, but it's like weird to try and go all the way back to Obama or even all the way back to Clinton like you did earlier. Like, let's focus on more recent things, because from Obama to now, there's a lot of illegals who have gained some kind of documented status. And whether or not you consider that valid or not, it's largely valid in the United States court system. And, they might be on a temporary hold of deportation, or they might have been granted what is it called? Refugees.
The special status or whatever.
Mhm.
Is there, well, there's like 20 different. There's
So
like 20 different.
if you want to cut out as much as you can of that kind of context, we can say, yeah, maybe even up to 30 million people. But the weird thing is that every 3 or 4 months now, the president has basically been revising the number up and up by 5 million, and he doesn't even say 30 million people. His
Well, I don't.
high pitch was 25 million when 3 months ago it was 20 million.
I'll be right back. Keep talking. And
But,
STA, you
I
can
mean,
drag
I-
other people in after he leaves if you want. BRB.
Taco City has to go.
I seriously gotta go. But I want to ask you. I want to ask you this one question before I go,
for sure.
because my baseline is like somebody says, "Oh, we need to pass a law that allows the government to do X," and
Sure.
my baseline is like, if you ask me that question on 100 different topics, I will say no. Probably at least 90% of the time.
What would be your number one and number two thing you would oppose the government doing? Like, I'm not talking about like, oh, gun control or things, but I mean like a service or a good or something. What I'm talking about. I'm not talking about like goons going out and kicking down doors. I'm talking about what are the number one and number two just before you go that you consider to be basically worthless or abhorrent. And please don't
The Department of Education.
Okay, understandable but difficult.
The Department of Energy.
I don't know about that one, but
well, I mean, it's like, okay, when we talk about getting rid, like, I understand there is some baseline function of the Department of Education that might be necessary, right?
The biggest part of them is providing support, guidance, and funding for disadvantaged and disabled students. That's like, and then also helping students into colleges, but like not a lot of it is like dictating a curriculum, right? It's not much of what they do.
Or like the Department of Energy controls our nuclear stockpile.
Not exactly, but they handle the security of it. Yeah, I think exactly what you just said. But like, yes, I've been around DOE police. I met Rick Perry when he was the fucking head of Department of Energy, and that's a story for another time. Because
I mean, Rick Perry is an idiot, so.
Yeah, well, I was psychotic at the time. I was in the airport, and my dad knew him from college and decided to walk up and say, "Hey there, hey there, Rick. You remember me? This is my son." I was just like, "Why are there a bunch of fucking suited up, MIBs around?"
Anyways, like, it's like, okay, so that function could be handed off. I don't necessarily want it with the Department of Defense. I understand why they have it walled off. But I mean, you could give that to the Interior Department.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it's rather practical because of all the issues we had with like the AOC.
Well, and it's we use our nuclear reactors to make our bombs. So
not exactly. Not exactly.
Okay.
It's it could be part of the process, but in general, what I would encourage, you got to go. But what I would encourage that topic in particular is to go look into and read about how the United States came to, this mixed control. Well, it started mixed control of nuclear weapons under the civilian arm of the government, and how it kind of creeped back over to and solidified into the presidency powers of the military.
Thank you for coming by and chatting, by the way, Philip. We will definitely debate
I've
again, I'm sure.
Hey, I'm here to take swipes at people, so I know I came in hot and said shit about your Tinder bio or whatever, but don't take it personal.
Well, I mean, I don't like the ad hom to start off with.
Well, that's not ad hom. Ad hom would be you can't respect this guy's opinion because he is fat and he's
Um,
politics. Me ad homing would be trying to dismiss your argument. What I was doing was just making fun of you. I was just being an asshole.
well, that's kind of being ad hom, but oh well. That's
Nope.
it. I mean, I gotta go.
Yep.
I got
Bye. Thanks for stopping by the stream.
I will. I can be. If you want to, like, I am a fan. Not that I believe in conspiracy theories. I am a fan of them. I think there's some of them can be downright hilarious. Like flat Earth stuff is fucking hilarious to me, but
It's more like
that's neither here nor there. But yeah, I gotta go. I'll be
Bye.
around again.
Of course,
I'll be around
yeah.
again.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. Oh man, I have we have our own mega person. Thanks for watching. If you liked this content, please hit that subscribe button and click on the little bell icon so you'll see notifications for future videos.